Yeah, we were just talking about time this morning together before getting to your living room, thinking about the 8 months that we spent together, like really intense 8 months that felt like a longer time, and that maybe comes from the intention of us like really wanting to spend time together and getting to know each other better, and sharing languages, not only professional languages, but also our personal and like languages that we carried with us from the places that we came from. And yeah, so we're in the final phase now, preparing for our project, working towards production and in conversation with the many participants of Hobby is a Discipline. That is the title of our project. And it's been very exciting. And also there is a tiny bit of melancholia coming with it, because we also know that we're towards the ending of the program, and how you were saying earlier how it's such a rare opportunity of like having such time of like taking time of like rethinking our practices and rethinking where we are.
Yeah.
And also doing this from a distance from where we came from.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the 8 months passed by very quickly, and it feels like the five of us have been working together for several years in some ways, and then recognizing that the time will end soon. It's like we have this ebb and flow of feeling very, very motivated in our project, and then a bit melancholic for sure. And I think also we're placed in this moment of a lot of practicalities, and maybe the most critical and important part of the curatorial process that is often not talked about, which is how we as people work with the infrastructures and resources that exist within the institution. So a lot of deadlines, a lot of like double and triple confirming things, and also like taking care of each other in this process. It's really important. I think maybe it's helpful to trace a bit of the genealogy of how hope came to us and how Miriam Cabo's words came to us. So I mean, the five of us come from different contexts. We're shaped by different languages, different customs of relating, and very quickly at the beginning of the program, we had to become each other's environment. So we're really bumping into each other in terms of how we speak, what did the other one mean by that, and I think this might be the case for every curatorial program year, because of where people are coming from and how the group is curated. And I think we went from there to a really interesting place where we were like, okay, like what does it mean to be in this program that brings together in a sort of utopic, speculative fiction vision people from different places. And within the course of 10 months, they're supposed to produce a project together. I mean, it seems like the stakes are very high for such a proposal. And those questions led us followed us to a trip to Sharjah for the March meetings during the Sharjah Biennial. And there was one presentation. The March meetings were really focused on Okwe and Weizer's notion of a post-colonial constellation, and many of the presentations were by academics. There was one that was about the global 1960s and anti-colonial struggle, and kind of looking back at anti-colonial struggles outside of the Euro-American perspective. And at the end of this panel, there was this really interesting question from a scholar named Kamran Ali, who was asking, okay, like, great, the 1960s, 1970s. Yes, we want to look at the archival materials. We want to review and understand what happened with these struggles, but how do we think about this politically now? A lot of scholars have been talking about something called a melancholia of the left, and I think the five of us heard that, and we were very much relating. I mean, I think all of us are born after 1989, 1988, and I think it's kind of part of our inheritance also to think about some of the things that Ali was raising. And then, he asked this question, what do we do about the melancholia of the left? And Lebanese scholar Zaina Masri responded, well, I think that we're in a need to constitute or reconstitute an aesthetics of hope. And maybe I'm already taking too long to explain this, so I'll just say, long story short, we started trying to constitute some meanings around aesthetics of hope. It appeared in an early draft of our proposal, which a curator named Sagal Farah reviewed and told us, in a way reminded us of Mariam Kaba's words, hope is a discipline. So this is kind of the story of how we got there and how hope came to us. But maybe we can, I don't know. Yeah. I wonder what you think about how it means for us now.
It's really beautiful, like always like tracing this story of like how hope almost became the vessel for us, like throughout our process, and how to curate hope. Or there was this question the other day from a collaborating participant saying, how do we inhabit hope? How do we inhabit hope? And I think there also comes importance or the relevance perhaps to the word discipline, and how do we define discipline. And we were sharing how we almost translate discipline not only, of course, it's like the daily practice, demanding daily practice of like practicing something, and not only just as a feeling, not only as a horizon, but as something that it has this ritualistic process in it. But then discipline comes with attention, like the attention you put on solidarity or community building or relating with your peers in a framework that you feel that you belong to. That says it.
Yeah. Earlier this year, we also were with Dutch Art Institute for some of their seminars, and they have one theorist who's teaching there called Amit Rai, and he's teaching a seminar about revolutionary attention. And I think we became interested in this, like, how do we reclaim our attention, and how can that be connected to this, like, shifting the meaning of what we assume discipline is to something that we practice every day together using the resources that we have. It's a gathering of gatherings with, just to name a few, there's Arts Collaboratory, Metro 54, Tropical Tap Water. Those are some of the collectives. Five Great Parrots. And we also have some individual practitioners who are coming in and working with us. There's Jihan El Tari, Ola Hassanain. And there are others who are in different phases of, we're still in the conversation about exactly how what they're thinking about will realize or leave a trace in the project. But I don't know.
Yeah, I'm thinking in general about the project that, again, like this, this group of participants is not, as you're saying, like really fixed. and it's something that we're still like processing together with others, but like we approach the project itself like more as a rehearsal of like continuing conversations that we started with each one of them, and how, for instance, the different traces, as you mentioned, or the different remnants that will be presented in the space, and maybe it's nice here to mention that we're thinking of how in the aula that is this final project being presented in New West, in that location before it moves to the temple, we can think of like how would this like last gathering look like, and how to transform the space into a living room where the different remnants become part of this setting of this space that we're interested in creating together.
Maybe it's also nice to mention that in a way, taking a cue from our CP ancestors last year, we're really interested in process and lived experience, and that group chose to explore this through an episodic structure. On our side, we're really thinking about a series of gatherings or assemblies that expand up and down in scale. So every weekend, we're going to have at least one or two types of gatherings that will be focused around watching films, collective reading, listening to music, and we're really thinking about conversation as a medium, conversation as maybe the key act that's helping people connect to each other and practice together. So what are all of the kind of formats that allow for people to just talk? And the exhibition is more a byproduct than it is really the central presentation that people walk into. So this is what we mean when we are talking about lived experience and process, for sure.
We're trying to imagine the different ways of introducing the different voices that become part of the process inside that format of the living room, and how to activate and introduce the different activations that will be happening. There will also be an after party to follow the opening, and that we are preparing with Metro 54. So it's
we're hoping our I remember something I wanted to say earlier.
Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, so during the course of this project, what can people expect that day? I mean, they're going to come in and see the aula in what is its last cycle of being like a site for Appel, really transformed into a living room, because we wanted to have it be more warm and a good place to say goodbye to each other. So there's this that you can expect, but also we're going to transform it later into a dance floor, and hopefully there'll be a lot of bodies gathering in space, and a kind of joyful start to this last project in the aula.